For over a decade, Michael Tait wasn't just the voice of the Newsboys, he was their identity. 15 years, dozens of albums, thousands of performances, he became a fixture in Christian music, so when he suddenly announced he was stepping away, fans were stunned. He framed it as a personal decision, something he reached after intense prayer and reflecting on the direction of his life. But that peaceful narrative didn't last long. The silence was quickly filled with noise. Speculation took off, and then came serious allegations. One in particular, from a well-known LGBTQ+ activist, suggested Michael's exit wasn't so voluntary after all, that he was forced out after private details about his life started surfacing. And these weren't minor rumors, they were heavy, deeply personal, and potentially career-damaging. In the midst of the backlash, Faith Live, the company set to promote the Newsboys' 2025 Canadian tour, pulled the plug. Their explanation? They didn't have enough clarity about why Michael had left, and they weren't comfortable moving forward without it. Now, everything is up in the air. Fans are left with more questions than answers. What really happened behind the scenes? What's real and what's just internet noise? In this video, we're diving into all of it. The timeline, the claims, what's been confirmed, and what it could mean for Michael Tait and the future of the Newsboys. The Newsboys didn't rise overnight. Their journey began all the way back in 1985 on the other side of the world, in Australia. Over the years, they fought their way to the front lines of Christian music. Grammy nods, Dove Award wins, and by the early 2000s, they were a household name in every youth group across America. But in 2009, everything changed. That's when Michael Tait took the mic, stepping in after founding member Peter Furler passed the torch. And just like that, the band found new life. Albums like Born Again and God's Not Dead blew up across Christian airwaves. The music got louder, sharper, charged with new energy. Tait didn't just sing, he ignited the stage. Under his lead, the Newsboys weren't just a band anymore. They were a force. Arena tours, global audiences. Their message traveled far beyond church walls. Faith met performance, and Michael Tait stood right in the spotlight. So when he suddenly announced he was stepping down, it didn't just raise eyebrows, it raised alarms. And what made it worse? The timing. Just one day before his announcement, a video surfaced, a harsh, cutting accusation, one that painted Michael in a light completely at odds with the Christian persona fans knew. Not just a slip-up, not just a bad look, it was personal, cruel, hypocritical, and it shook people. Now everyone's asking, was this really about moving on? Or was something darker finally breaking through the surface? Even Adam Agee, the new lead singer, didn't have time to breathe. No handoff, no explanation. Just like that, he was in. When Adam Agee got the call to take the mic, he had just 4 days to get ready. 4. No warm-up, no time to plan. Just suit up, step in, and carry the weight of a band in crisis. Michael's exit hit like a wrecking ball. No heads up, no strategy. Just an abrupt vacancy and a ticking clock before the next show. Behind the scenes, the band was scrambling. Meanwhile, Michael quietly dropped a farewell message on Instagram. But here's the twist. He disabled the comments. No feedback, no questions, no pushback, just a polished statement, followed by silence, and people noticed. Fast. Especially since, just one day earlier, a viral TikTok dropped accusing Michael of serious misconduct. It blew up, over 1 million views, and lit a fire across social media. Allegations, outrage, speculation. But instead of confronting it, Michael shut down the conversation, locked the door, and walked away. Then, things got uglier. The TikToker behind the viral post came back with a follow-up video, this time gloating. He claimed he was the reason Michael stepped down, mocked the whole prayer and fasting narrative, dismissed any talk of new beginnings, as if his post single-handedly forced Michael out of the spotlight, whether it's true or not. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't a peaceful transition. This was damage control in the middle of a PR storm, and at the center of it all was Michael Tait.
So you want to know why I outed Michael Tait? I'll tell you why. Because I grew up in a Christian Zionist nationalist home that told me who I am as a gay man is a sin. And then I watched people like Michael Tait reinforce that message and endorse that message and preach that message as if it was the truth. And I believed it like it was the truth. So when I found out that was not the truth, I was filled with rage and grief. And then when I saw Michael Tait advocating for Donald Trump, who is actively doing my community and my trans siblings measurable harm, he lost every bit of privacy. He lost his right to privacy. So that's why I outed him. Little did I know that Michael Tait is not just gay. He's a motherfucking monster. Multiple people have come forward with sexual assault allegations. Investigative journalists have been working on this for years. I was the only one willing enough to go public with it. So, you want to know why I outed Michael Tait? That's why. It was also the worst kept secret in all of Christian music.
The man behind the latest accusations, Azariah Southworth. If that name rings a bell, it should. Southworth has made a career out of calling out big names in Christian circles. He's not just familiar with controversy, he thrives in it. He exposes the cracks in polished Christian platforms. Over a decade ago, it was Jonathan Merritt who felt the heat. Merritt, a respected voice in Christian thought, had written for The Atlantic, The Washington Post, and more, tackling topics like faith, politics, and even environmental ethics. His image? Squeaky clean, intelligent, spiritually grounded, until Southworth showed up. He dropped an expose that sent shockwaves through the faith community, accusing Merritt of leading a double life, publicly preaching biblical values, privately living in a way that contradicted them. The backlash was immediate. Merritt tried to defend himself, then ultimately, he admitted it. Now, Southworth is back, and this time he's coming after Michael Tait, and the claims? Even more serious, even more damaging. What makes this even harder to ignore is the timing. Michael's resignation came exactly one day after Southworth's video hit TikTok. The clip went viral, over 1 million views. Then, Michael vanished from the stage. Coincidence or direct fallout? That's the question echoing through the Christian world right now. And whether the claims are true or not, one thing is clear. A dark cloud now hangs over everything Michael left behind. In his Instagram farewell, Michael Tait wrote, "This decision does not come lightly and has been a shock to even myself. But amidst prayer and fasting, I have clarity that this is the right decision." Prayer and fasting, that was the headline of his explanation. But let's be honest, if this really was a spirit-led, carefully discerned decision, would it have looked like this? Would it have dropped with no warning, no accountability, and a 4-day scramble to replace him? Because that's exactly what happened. 4 days. That's all the band had to find a new frontman before going back on tour. Not weeks, not even a weekend, just 4 days to patch the hole and keep moving. That's not what clarity looks like. That's what crisis management looks like. And it didn't stop there. The ripple effect hit fast. Faith Live Canada, the group promoting the Newsboys' upcoming tour dates, cancelled the entire run. Their reason? A mix of poor ticket sales, fading fan interest, and, most importantly, the cloud of uncertainty and suspicion surrounding Michael's exit. But Faith Live didn't just cancel and walk away. They gave a statement, a deliberate, thoughtful one. While we are not here to make judgments, we do feel a responsibility to be open about the struggle we faced in the way of discernment that led us here. In other words, they sensed something deeper was going on, something that didn't sit right. Out of love and respect for our guests, we could no longer continue with something that no longer reflected the heart and integrity we first committed to. That says a lot, because for Faith Live, this wasn't just about logistics. They don't view themselves as a concert promoter, they call themselves a ministry. They talk about truth, community, and Christ-like character as their guiding lights. So when they pulled the plug, it wasn't just because ticket sales dipped. They walked away because their conscience told them to. "We're committed to integrity," they said, "and making spirit-led decisions won't be sacrificed for what's easy, popular, or profitable." That's not just a statement, that's a mic drop. One thing came through loud and clear in Faith Live's statement: they're not brushing this off. To them, pushing forward with a tour under this cloud of controversy would have gone against everything they claim to represent: integrity, discernment, truth, and they weren't willing to compromise, and they're not alone. From longtime fans to fellow ministries, people are all asking the same tough question: what really went down? What caused Michael Tait to vanish from the spotlight with no explanation and no accountability? The rumors, still swirling, the silence, still deafening, and the confusion only getting deeper. Because here's the reality. As Christians, we're not just called to perform well on stage, we're called to live lives of integrity behind the scenes too. And when serious claims surface, accusations of misconduct, grooming, or abuse, they demand truth. Not silence, not spin, not a carefully staged exit. Let's be real. I hope this turns out to be nothing. I hope the allegations are wrong, because no one wins in a mess like this. Not the fans, not the church, not even Michael. But so far, no one's saying a word. Not Michael, not the band. And until they do, the questions won't go away. They'll only grow louder. His departure may have been sudden, but the fallout, that's not disappearing anytime soon. So for now, we wait, we pray, and we keep asking for the truth to come to light. And if you care about what's really happening behind the curtain in Christian media, don't just scroll past. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for updates. We'll be here, watching how it all unfolds.